Welcome to Aquarian Anarchy. We have Maj Toure of Black Guns Matter on the show tonight. But before we introduce him, I'm going to take a moment right now. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to the Patreon if you can, and support the show. Hit the bell icon so you get the notifications when the new episodes come out. And don't forget, share this episode with your friends. 2 shares to speed the spread of this show all over the internet. And so I would, without further ado, like to jump right into Nicco, Marcus, and I are thrilled to have this man on our show tonight. Maj Toure. Maj, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? How y'all feeling?
Doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm gonna put this joint on do not disturb, but I'm doing great.
Awesome.
I wouldn't dare complain.
All right, so I have to ask, what episode of The Office were you watching?
Goodbye, Toby.
Oh, okay. So I gotta ask. So, what's the best line in the entire show? What's the best? Like, just one line. You got to pick one line. What's your favorite line of the whole show?
That's what she said.
Oh, okay. All right. So mine's a little more elaborate than that. Mine is, if I was in a room with Hitler, Bin Laden, and Toby, and I had a gun with 2 bullets, I'd shoot Toby twice. So when you said goodbye, Toby, I was like, oh shit, that's perfect, because I wanted and so that's a great lead in to Black Guns Matter, because obviously we don't want to be shooting anybody, but we want to be able to protect ourselves if we have to. So I just want to jump right into like what, and we're going to get back to The Office later when we have a little bit more time to just kind of let our hair down a little bit, but the genesis of Black Guns Matter and how this whole thing kind of came about. I know there's some things that you've talked about in the past that are kind of like the broad, but like I want to kind of dig into like where you grew up, where you came from, and what you kind of in your early adulthood saw that made this so important to you and made freedom so important to you.
Yeah, you see the same. So like when there's negligence, you see the same cycle. Or even if it's not negligent per se, you'll still see guys catch the same, gun possession charge. Not like you robbed nobody, not you shot nobody, you just had the gun. I mean, and that's just so silly. Like, you're going to go to jail because you had a gun. A gun is an inanimate object that formed America, like, to be perfectly honest. So when you see that, or you see people catching the same, you see the same, oh, such and such got a hold of a gun. A child got a hold of a gun. A child shot themselves. Like, these are things that are super repetitive. These things are dumb in a sense of they're solvable, or it shouldn't be a crime in the first place. So then you start to push back against that. Now, excuse me, obviously, you push back against the negligence that causes death first, right? Because that's something that nobody's going to argue against. Nobody's going to say, don't you teach people to have firearms and handle them safely and responsibly? Like, no one's going to say that. Like, in order to say that, like, you're a complete idiot.
Right.
And then tackle the next step, which is, overturning this problem in America of, telling people that them having a firearm, as an adult, that is the reason, without like, oh, you didn't have this permit, or like you didn't have the permit and you had one, so now you got to go to jail. You're almost incentivizing people remaining ignorant in regards to, instead of like seeking out information that'll help, inform them. You in essence say, hey, you got this gun. I live in a bad neighborhood. I got this gun, but don't talk about it because they'll come take you to jail.
Right.
So those were the reasons why we were just like, over time, and it's not even like one incident. It's like a damn near a culture, and then when, you become a little bit older, I traveled making music and things like that. And as an independent person, selling my own stuff. And I just was like, wow, this is crazy. Like, this is the same theme. So when you see something that's a problem, you just start to come up with solutions and apply it. And that's how we did with BGM.
That's nice. For me, I don't even know if you remember, but the first time that I met you, I was Adam Kokesh's press secretary, and I met you outside right before you did the Black Outreach
panel at the LNC.
Yeah. And right. And but what impressed me, frankly, because I had heard you on, like, I had listened to talk radio and had heard you interviewed, but what I found interesting was I really think that you nicely brought the ideas of culture into the issues that we talk about. And whether, no matter what the issue is, whether it's guns or it's something else. For me, I have Native American heritage, and that is something that really, I don't look like it, but but it's something that really resonates with me. And so for me, being tied to that in my own consciousness, I've seen what happens when they take weapons away from people. Yeah. So, I did an article for Adam on Geronimo, and what made him enslaved was the day that he laid his gun down. And so, although I agree with the safety issues you're talking about, for me, the issues are about greater freedom, and everything is protected by firearms.
Listen, man, America, right, wrong, or indifferent, the country that we live in, that we all, we love our countrymen, love our countrywomen. It was forged and created by money and violence. Like, that's like the way of the world. For like, sure. When you get down to the brass tacks of things, right, wrong, or indifferent, it's germs and steel, baby. Like, it's not a it's not a, we can overcomplicate it, right? Like, we've made jokes where, this year, which has been a rough year for a lot of folks, like, we'll see memes where people will say things like, women now, they're looking at, like, their dateability of a guy is based on, like, is he, like, zombie apocalypse ready? Which in essence means
that's a whole different outlook than a year ago, right?
Right. It's like, bro, can you, like, if the horde of zombies come this way, can you use violence, and can you protect and provide? That is the, like, as great as, we've made these technological advances. We love, like, our computers and our phones and all that other stuff.
Right.
It boils down to that. And the biggest part of that is the ability to be armed, and firearms is the higher end of that. And if we acknowledge that from a base level, and get out of our own egos for a second and acknowledge that, we see that even governments, they're there and they have the monopoly on violence because they have a monopoly on violence, or the potential for violence. Mm-hmm. The only way that you can keep some of that in check is by having an equal, or at least well-distributed, level of force, and or back that level of force backed up with reason and logic, and people understanding that as the people, we have the means to put our government on timeout. And that's what it pretty much boils down to. The indigenous people to these lands, they lost that fight. You know what I'm saying? The people that were conquered, in places like Africa and, and whatever, they lost that fight. And if you lose that fight, you can expect the conqueror to tell the story too. Mm-hmm. So the reality is, if you do not have the means to defend yourself, that's why the concept of no one, very few people, I'll say it that way, I won't speak in such hard absolutes, but very few people are actually anti-gun, because, in that sphere of things, you see the importance of how simple it is and the value of it. So it comes down to, hey, it's snowing in Philly, right? I'm home in Philly for the next couple of days. It's snowing. if you're getting carjacked or you're a woman and you're potentially going to get raped, all of your anti-gun sentiments go out of the window when Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers is trying to kill and or rape you.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So, and it's the same concept, whether that's with individual, whether that's with a few of you, whether that's with a community, whether that's with a city, whether that's with a nation, you know, and that's just what it is. America hasn't been invaded, obviously, because of our geographical, situation. Our neighbors to the north and south are generally not as strong as us, i.e., they don't have as much firepower as us. And the places that would have as much firepower as us, fortunately, geographically, you know, we got oceans on the other two sides, and we can see them ahead of time before they get here. So that gives them even their means or arms. We have the same means of arming ourselves, if not superior, but we still have that little bit of protection in a sense. And it's very simple. You know, Sun Tzu wasn't like, there's a reason why all of these military generals and leaders study dude. You know what I'm saying? Because he understands violence and terrain and all these different things. Right. And so when you get down to the brass tacks of it, it's very much that simple. It creates a space where I am a very violent and very dangerous man. That's it. I'm a good person because I have that in check. And I only use it when it's time for it. But when it's time for the speed of violence, I am going to react and handle violence very well. I'm not gonna bat an eye about it. I'm not gonna think bad about it. If I have to stab you several times or shoot you a few times to neutralize a threat, to protect life for the greater good, I'm absolutely gonna do it. You know, and that's what makes me a catch. Going back to that meme thing, is this guy zombie apocalypse ready? You know, could I get dated? You know, based on those criteria. You know, and we delude ourselves into thinking that that's not a constant reality, but it absolutely is. You know,
people have gotten comfortable with thinking that it's not a reality.
Try taking a girl out. Right. Try taking your girl out on a date and being in a rough neighborhood and her not feeling completely comfortable with knowing that, yeah, my dude is like really violent. Not saying that women can't protect themselves at all, because I don't want that to sound that way. But at the same time, there's a comfort. There's a comfort for me knowing that, you know, the woman that I'm dating can potentially watch my back and protect herself and protect me if I can't see it too. There's something very reassuring about somebody that's capable in dealing with the speed of violence.
Yeah, if you're walking down the street with Trill Toya, you know you're okay, right? You know what I mean? Like she's got her shit handled. Yeah.
Right. And if somehow I happen to miss something, she's paying attention and will be able to retaliate. You know, and that's something very simple.
It's the media that we all preach against. It's that propaganda that shows that, oh, well, guns are bad. No, it's the people who use them. Guns can't walk up and shoot somebody. It's all about what somebody's in tune to. Like young kids. So I'm not saying Chad teaches his kids how to shoot, but he teaches his kids how to fish at a young age. You know, people who have guns in their families. Oh, look at that. Yeah. See? Yeah. So it's like, you know, kids out in Chicago, it's like, no, like my parents would hate the word gun. Like they wouldn't even give me toy guns because they get automatically lead to violence, and I'm going to go out and go pew pew somebody, or I might get shot because of it. And it's like so therefore it's hyper inflated on the black community. Or if you have guns, well, it leads to this. And then you guys completely ignore the fraction of the community that actually trains behind guns, that actually do the things that you do.
Right. And to be clear, too, what you're talking about, Maj, because I think all of us here would agree in aggression. It isn't good to initiate violence initiate it and be aggressive. But Hotep Jesus recently with Chad was talking about being a good capitalist, being how you fight the bad capitalist around us is by being good capitalist.
Yeah.
And it's a very similar concept to what you're talking about. It is about, you know, you're not going to stop somebody who has, say, some kind of weapon. You know, let's say they're rolling down the streets with a tank. You're not going to stop that with rocks, but you might get them to pause with about 20 semi-automatic rifles.
Right.
You know? So you have to show that.
Right.
If you don't have force, listen, and as much as, you know, I just keep it a buck.
Mhm.
Power only respects power or the potential for a fight.
For sure.
You know, bullies
Absolutely.
don't stop to like kind words. Bullies stop by a physical force. Now, when the kid that's getting, you know, bullied smacks the bully in the mouth, the bully falls back. Now, some people will go, we'll train people to, well, just use your words. There is no reasoning with groups of people that only understand violence. If, like Malcolm said, if you're speaking to a French person, they can't, and talking to them in Chinese, they don't understand it. You gotta talk their talk. You have to speak their language. And the language of tyrants and tyranny is violence.
Yep.
And I am perfectly okay with that. I never initiate an act of aggression, ever. Trust me, there will be enough bullies to go around where you'll be able to exercise your ability to defend yourself, you know, once or twice or 3 times within your life without ever having to initiate an act of aggression. But I promise you, I am going to end all fucking acts of aggression. That's just what it is. We just have to become more okay with that. The founding fathers to this nation, with their contradictions, were okay with that, you know? And it's like, I'm cool with certain contradictions. I want, you know, nirvana. I believe that the human condition, we aspire to complete peace where, you know, we're like levitating and speaking telepathically and all of that type of shit. I believe that humans can get there. I believe it. And that's what I would prefer.
Same here.
I would gladly give away all of my firearms if I thought like 60% of the world was going in that direction, right? However, we're not there yet.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so it's like, nah, the human condition is there. I want, you know, Valhalla. I want Shangri-La. I want that, you know, heaven on earth. But until we get there, and I believe so, I'm also a realist.
Right.
You know, and I believe that there's generally going to be certain portions of the human population that are going to try to bully. And if I cannot back that up with, you know, the potential for violence, it, you know, 1775, you know, the Crown and those guys, King George and the boys are like, yo, send them rifles back.
Yeah.
1776, the founding fathers shot them. That's it.
All right.
They shot them, you know, and that's just the brass tacks, base instinctual human nature that we're dealing with.
Yeah. Well, and so like we want, like, I'm with you on like ideally where we're headed, and what I think actually human nature is and really is like in its pure form, when it's not oppressed and tyrannized, and when what you have is people who are either lazy or they're afraid to create or anything like that. That's where the tyranny comes from. But the reality is, like, as humans, we want to be better than that. We want to be better than animals, but we also have to be realists in that the idea of right, and so this might not be a popular concept with a lot of people, but the idea of like rights is only good so far as you can protect them.
Right.
And we've got to be prepared to protect them. I'll tell a little story to kind of put this into perspective for people. Now, this is from the animal kingdom, but it's a pretty funny story that kind of really centers this in the frame. So a guy I work with went to Yellowstone, and they were, you know, they're going around, and they found, they saw, they actually like had video. They videoed this bear chasing after this elk or something. And he like eventually got it like cornered to where it ended up going into this like stream or whatever, like a creek. and it was struggling to swim with her. So the bear goes in there. The bear just like takes it down and like drowns it and then drags it up onto the shore. Okay. So it's like, all right, so that elk couldn't defend itself. So that bear didn't give a shit about its rights,
Right.
you know? But this story doesn't end there.
Right.
Here's the best part. Later on, that same bear lost that elk to another bear who came and stole it from him because that bear couldn't defend himself to defend his property. So we have to be able to recognize that, like, we may believe in our rights, and I don't want to infringe on any other person's rights. I think the more people in the world who believe in the fundamental rights that we have as human beings to our life, our liberty, and our property, the better the world will be. And we tend more towards that Valhalla, that ideal that you're talking about. But as long as there are people who don't respect that, you better damn well be prepared to defend your rights. Otherwise, you will not have them.
Yeah, I think there's always those people that are like, yeah, I feel you, but fuck that. Like, I feel like there's always those guys that I'm like, you know, and they want to roll the dice.
Mm-hmm.
They want to go, you know, well, yeah, you have a fundamental right. You know, there's always a Debo. Rest in peace to Zeus, right?
Yeah.
You know, Lister.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a Debo. It's my bike, huh? You know, until Craig stood up to him and fought him.
Right.
You know, it was like, yeah, we just running around the community. We just taking shit.
Yeah.
We just taking shit, you know, and I think there's always going to be potentially that person. Now, I think that with the right education and the right training about respect for rights and humanity and education and those cultural shifts, we have less of those guys because everyone's taken care of. You know, the free market can do its thing.
Right.
You know, less people you know what I'm saying? Like, there's
a lot of that stuff comes from pain and suffering that people are trying to get out of. Yeah.
Right. And so it's like, you know, when people's emotional needs are met and their therapeutic needs are being addressed, there'll be less of that. If I got everything, I don't have to take, or most of the stuff that I need, I don't have to really take anything. The things that I don't really have, a free market creates, you know, and provides. And we're culturally showing people, hey, here's how you can do it, especially as we remove a lot of the cronyism, a lot of these, a lot of that. So, you know, those things are removed, then we can educate people. So there's a cultural shift in that way. But I believe that even then, there'll be still one or two Debos around. And it'll be like, hey, man, you know, I'll still fuck you up for, like, not respecting my right to exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, just a friendly reminder, Debo, not only will I fight you if I need to, but I'll also potentially shoot you if I need to. Let's just a reminder, let's go back to the free market. So Debo, you don't have to feel like you take anything from me because I won't allow you to, you know? And I think that some of that is, if you read all of these holy texts and scriptures, right? If those are true, and if they're just parables, whatever, but at least the stories themselves, you know, the Turin Papyrus, the Gilgamesh epics, the Dead Sea Scrolls, there are always stories or people in there that just do fucked up shit. You know, if you happen to be Christian, the Bible is the perfect example of it. Yeah. Like, Cain was like the first fucking hater. Yeah. Like the first hater. Like, dude, Ice is his brother. You know what I'm saying?
Over some bullshit.
And it's like, and it's like, damn, cause God liked my taxes to God. You like God likes my taxes better than your fucking taxes. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, if those things are somewhat a theme for the human condition, you know, we keep that thing on this or in the tuck, because you never know when you're gonna run into a Cain out here, and I'm not gonna let him be. You know, I'm not able.
You're gonna be a victim.
Yeah, I'm not able in that regard. You know, I can't be able to your Cain. Right. I just won't allow it. You know, if I'm out and outmaneuvered and out-strengthened or outpowered, okay, you got the drop on me. But it won't be because of, like, ignorance or, like, the inability of me to recognize that envy, one of those whatever 7 deadly sins or whatever, that shit ain't up in people. It won't be that I'm just like, you know, no, that can't happen now. We're at the height of civilization. Like, are you
Right.
kidding me? Like, hell no.
Yeah.
So I think that the key is organization and
Yeah.
coming together. And Martin Luther King said, those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. And I think that's what we're talking about. You know, yes, we can all agree that we want that perfect world that you're talking about, but we got to come together. We got to get this shit organized so that we can push that agenda. And we're never going to get that opportunity if they're going to divide us out with guns and bullets and what have you between us. We have to have our own protection. You know, one of the things that I really have enjoyed about your activism has actually inspired us quite a bit is your idea of the solutionaries, offering solutions, not just bitching about the problems, but coming in and saying, okay, well, these are our solutions. Let's move in that direction and get that done. And I think that's what you're talking about is, no, you know, we don't want to enact any kind of violence, no matter what it is, but I'm prepared to, you know, and so I think that's where we need to be, frankly, as a movement, you know. And for me, you know, I'm an anarchist and I don't believe in any of this bullshit of governments and what have you, but I can reach out to people, even people that might be statists, that might believe a little bit in government, might be minarchists, and say, okay, right now, let's find out what solutions we can fucking work on together to get this shit, because right now the assholes have control.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Assholes have control. And the other part is, to go back a bit on the violence thing, I don't want to initiate an act of aggression and I don't want to be violent. But when I'm in it, I'm going to fucking enjoy fucking you up. I'm going to, like, that's the part that's like, you know, if somebody's like raping my daughter, I am going to enjoy fucking you up.
You're going to go law-abiding citizen on them, huh?
Yeah, like it's going to be very like,
oh, that shit like a banana.
Like, yeah, this is going to be delicious. Like this is going to be great for me, you know, because I need to make it so clear that I have an uncle that was in Vietnam, and no bullshit, he had a collection of ears like on a necklace.
Wow.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah. And it was like, you know, that's who one of the uncles that introduced me to firearms. And he's like, at a certain point, your enemies have to understand, like, it's going to be very not cost effective to fuck with you. You know? And like that movie Inglourious Bastards with Brad Pitt, you know, there was a guy, like, they called him the Bear Jew. And in the movie, if anyone didn't see it,
Eli Roth.
You know, it was like they were, you know what I mean? The Bear Jew was like the guy that, you know, they would say, hey, we've captured you. You know, we don't want to kill you. You know, we're fighting in this war. But if you don't tell us where your closest garrisons and your stash spots is and everything about it, we're going to call the Bear Jew out here. He's a Jewish dude, and he hates Nazis because of what you guys believe in. And he's going to come with a bat, and he's going to beat the shit out of you for everybody else's enjoyment. And we're going to enjoy this shit. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel about violence. When it's warranted, I enjoy it.
That's the warrior mentality.
Yeah. I believe in freedom so much and liberty so much that the highly orchestrated phenomenon designed to infringe on my freedoms and liberties, and you guys have went to such great lengths to try to make me a slave.
Right.
I'm going to enjoy fucking you up on every level.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And we have to be okay with that. We have to go like, that could be just, hey, we boycotted your business and we violently attacked your money that way and you went out of business. I'm going to laugh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be dragging somebody through the street or anything like that. It can just be like putting somebody out of business. Yep.
Yeah, it can be, you know, I've had people that have attacked me and lied on me for years. And we went to court And I enjoy when you lose in court. I'm going to make a video about it. Me and my friends are going to laugh. You know, we're going to be like, remember that scene of Goodfellas when they all sit at the table and they laughing hard as shit? Yeah. That's going to be me and my friends laughing because you tried to really like put me in jail or this or that, you know, and we just have to accept that. You're not wrong for that, you know. And in regards to, you know, the building with people that may not have the exact same view on everything. I'm friends with like most people in America currently are statists. Like whether they're just a little bit of statist, they're conservative, you're still a statist. Like if you believe, even in limited government, I understand like the founding fathers, I get why they're like, hey, limited government is possible. That's still a form of government. So you kind of still there with it, right? But I'd much rather work with that person that wants this little bit of government, figure out the areas that we can work together on, right? As opposed to the person that's like, yes, tread harder, daddy. Right. Like that person we just have to inform and educate.
Tread harder,
right?
Daddy.
Right.
How long do you think that? How long do you think that it'll take for like America to like really start turning its head on guns? Because it's no help that it's a lot of like stuff that's pushed out there to already demonize it itself. So like how do you propose, like along with your solutionary programs, to like to push out the message guns aren't that bad?
The government's doing a lot of that work for us in this overreach during the pandemic. We're seeing they're saying things like this, and people when people are distracted, you can get a lot more over on them, right? But when these government lockdowns started in like I want to say maybe February or March, right?
March, yeah.
And when everybody said, "Oh man," and then the government said, "Hey, we're not going to be sending the police, which have no legal or moral obligation to protect you at all. But they're saying we're going to have the police not respond. We're going to let like rapists out of jail. We're potentially going to put you in jail for running a business if you run your business. And guns are non-essential businesses." Now, when someone's been out of work and they're like paying attention like to what you're saying,
there you go.
When they're really paying attention to what you're saying, they go like, wait a minute, like what the fuck did they just say?
Right.
You know, and so our job is like, you know, people
just catch the balls that are thrown in our laps.
Yes.
Just
That's
catch it.
Alley-oop all day.
Just throw it down. That's right.
And then everybody that thought you were kind of crazy with this gun shit are like, they hit you up like, yo, Maj, like I know you were talking about this gun stuff, but man, and I've had that repetitive conversation a bunch, you know, as well as, you know, a lot of people. So it's getting cold. It's wintertime. You know, they've made masks like okay.
Yeah. Right.
During a time where a lot of people are out of work.
Right.
And the robberies are about to go through the fucking roof.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? People aren't even looking at people with masks strange now.
Yeah.
You can't even. I saw somebody the other day. Somebody the other day. So I don't wear one, but like I saw somebody the other day, and they were like, hey man, who let you in here or something like that. They were just fucking with me, and I turned around and I looked, and the guy had a mask on. I didn't recognize him. Like I don't even recognize people I know.
Right.
With a mask on. What were you gonna say, Nicco?
Right.
I was like, I'm super surprised that like the first wave, people only raided grocery stores instead of houses with these masks. I'm like, these people are really about to go crazy, especially now that a lot of people can't pay for their housing. And like he said, like everybody's job. Yo, Miles, what's the best kind of pistol I can grab? Because, you know, I'm not about to play. I'm in.
Yeah, Nico's in Chicago.
Yeah, I think right now the prices is high as shit.
Mm.
I think what you should do first is, if you can get your hands on any type of Glock 19, absolutely do that. But any gun, I don't care if it's a 22. Like when people are like, "Oh, it's only a 22," and I'm like, "Okay, so can I shoot you in the
It
face with
still
it?"
work.
Right.
Let's shoot you in the
And
face.
they're
It
like,
still
"No, it's a
work.
gun." I'm like, "Exactly." You know, so whatever you can grab. And look into like Polymer 80. Buy a bunch of those because the ATF just tried like raided them, you know, and all of that stuff. And then you can start buying and building stuff and putting it together yourself, you know. And I'm a fan of private sales. I don't know if I'm not sure if Illinois. I think you guys may have private sales, but maybe on long guns.
If not, you can go to Indiana.
We're pretty tough on gun control in certain
Well,
cases
in
because
Chicago, but the rest of your state is usually kind of pretty good. And fortunately, it's the state, how the state goes with it. But I would just say, one, again, the government's doing the heavy lifting for us. So many people are like, nah, this doesn't make sense. And then, you know, all it takes right now is the holiday season. Watch, Christmas is like next week type thing.
Right.
Yep.
The robberies will go up, and then people will start questioning that whole like guns are bad thing. Then people will start not only just buying a gun, they'll start carrying a gun. Then they'll start training. They'll start going, what is situational awareness? Why do I need to watch my six? Why is it important for me to just scan rooms as I go into them or before I go into them? You know, why is it important that you look for things that are out of place? You know, why is that guy sitting in his car? You know, if he's in his car and he's on his phone, okay, most of us, we park, we pick up our phone, we check our text. That looks normal now, right? But if the guy's just sitting in the car with no phone in hand and he's scanning and you're scanning and you catch him scanning while you're scanning, that looks weird. You know, so just getting people in that. But people are going that way. And unfortunately, and this is gonna suck, some people that are even watching this are gonna get robbed, and their trauma in that scenario becomes like, oh hell no. And if nothing negative happens to them other than their stuff getting took, you know, because I don't want to wish negative on anyone, but it'll be a very good lesson for you. It is not the government's responsibility to fucking protect you. Stop expecting like Jesus to show up and be like or the gun control to kick in.
Well, like Adam
not,
says, he says when seconds count, the police are only minutes away.
Right, and it's
so you better be ready to take care of this shit yourself.
Right, the speed of violence is a real thing, and so I think that a lot of the heavy lifting is done by government. I think that more people should go pick up as many handguns and pistols and long guns as they can. And even outside of that, I think people should start thinking about more self-sustainable and self-sufficient ways of living, as well as just security. Like nobody other than the RV, right? Like Chad, you know what the RV looks like, right? But generally, I'm a pretty public figure. Nobody knows what kind of car I drive at all.
Right.
You know.
Well, and I was impressed too. Like you opened my eyes when we went to eat a couple of weeks ago, and we get into the restaurant, and you you walk straight to the back. Like you look around and then you walk straight to the back, and I was like, oh, the bathroom's over there, and you're like, no, I'm just you're scoping out to see like, okay, where are the exits? Where's this? Where's that? Because that situational awareness. I mean, this dude's fucking Jack Reacher. You know, it's like he knows where shit is, and he's seeing people and like kind of sizing people up and everything. And it's something that I took in, and I was like, I need to do that. I need to do a better job of that. I'm not as high profile as you, and I don't have like I understand why you are that vigilant, but it definitely heightened my awareness for like some things that I have been missing that I need to do better.
Yeah, because in most of those instances, in a like, let's say if this is an active shooter, right? The first thing I'm gonna do is run like a motherfucker. I'm gonna run unless I see life's in imminent danger and I can stop it. Sometimes if somebody got the drop on you, like unless they got the absolute drop, then comply. That means your situational awareness.
Yeah, you hear a click, click
Don't
behind your
compound
head
the
or
problem.
something like that, and it's like, you know, drop the.
Right.
Okay, I'm not.
They got
They got me. I'm gonna just do whatever they
Right.
say now because
But in the
I'm trying to stay
scenario, like
alive.
if there's an active shooter, you got your babies, I'm
Get the fuck
grabbing y'all and we running the fuck out this back door.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
No different than, you know, little things like when you're out and about, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it used to be for me and my family, it used to be Dunkin' Donuts. But then I went to like Oakland and I was like, yo, there's no Dunkin' Donuts in Oakland, right? When you're with your family, you have to have a location. If for whatever reason something happens and we get separated, go to the closest McDonald's.
Okay.
We will meet at the closest McDonald's
Yeah.
because McDonald's are everywhere.
Everywhere, right?
You know what I mean? And so little things like preventative maintenance, and that ties into the
Smart
earlier
stuff.
question about like just security.
Mhm.
Just like, you know, when I'm living the single life per se, right? I pick, you know, I have my house for my family and I have like, okay, I'm doing things. I have other stuff over here going on. I pick things, or if I'm not in a like a single family home, you know, it'll be, if I'm living in an apartment complex, I want it to be layered. I want it to be buildings. I want gates. I want cameras. I want floors. You're going to have to do several things before you can even find me in this complex and this particular building, you know? So there's all of these different things that we just have to start thinking about, you know?
Yeah.
And that comes with training.
And I think that that's applicable to just about any issue that you're talking about too. You were talking about small things and doing small things and all those kinds of ideas. You know, one of my, because I'm way into, you know, the agorist in me is into the self-sufficiency and all of that kind of stuff. So so a garden is a big deal for me, and being able to supply my own food and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Going with the, you know, figuring out what you can do is what's important. You know, it is, if what you told Nicco, if you can, you know, just do one little thing, you know, get a 22, that's a beginning. Those are the kinds of
Or even a 12 gauge. I mean, shit.
ideas.
to be
Right,
real.
right, which is what I did. You know, for you know, for me, starting with some tomatoes, that gets you a little bit. You know, you're not buying your tomatoes at the Kroger anymore. You're now buying you're now making your own tomatoes. All of those
They're better
about
anyway.
apply,
They're better than the ones at Kroger.
for sure.
Promise you.
Yeah.
They're better tomatoes.
So Nicco, you wanted to say something?
Oh yeah, no, but besides those getting those 22s, get yourself a subscribe for us. You know, you want to subscribe to the channel, get a like up for us. And you know, our Patreon, we know, you know, help me get a gun, bro. Help me out. Help me help you. Okay.
That's right. So I want to touch on this real quick. So there've been some things with the LP that have, you know, where there's been some folks in the LP who love you, who welcome you. I'm one of those people, and then there's been some other people who've been not so friendly. And one of the things, so it was actually interesting because like it came up in like the mentions underneath our post about this show. One of the folks who is a friend of ours, you know, Julian Acciard or Ace. Anyway, he was at the Solutionary Summit in Atlanta, and one of the guests that he had on recently for one of his panels, or no, maybe that was on the Brown Paper Bag podcast. Anyway, whatever. She came in and she said, the one thing I have a problem with libertarians on is their stance on immigration. And I know that was one of the things that was kind of like a sticking point with you and some of the folks in the LP, because it's more like, so philosophically, I believe that the only legitimate borders are those around private property. However, practically, I understand where we are in a welfare warfare state, and with Black people, you know, in the Black community, and even in the poor white community, like you have an influx of very cheap labor that I can understand why people see that as a threat. to their way of life and to their ability to survive. And when you have all these other things that kind of go with it, I want you to explain your perspective on that topic specifically, because that was one of the things that was like, I could get down with the libertarians, but this, this immigration thing, I can't get down with that because as an ADOS, I don't fuck with that. So I want you to give your perspective, because I don't want to speak for you.
So I get what that, I saw that tweet. And I get the sentiment, right? So so me, for example, as a person that, like, in my community, I live in Philly. Philadelphia was a manufacturing and distribution haven. Like, it was like Boeing made engines here, textile manufacturing, all that other stuff.
That whole area up there was huge. Motown and everything was all the way through from there to the Midwest was a huge manufacturing area. Yeah. And
it created jobs and it created stability in my community. Now, when you outsource those jobs, or when you do those jobs under the table as a big company, right? And I want to say big company, and as a big company, you're saying you're a private business, but you're not necessarily, because you're taking government subsidies.
Yeah, subsidies or tax breaks or whatever else.
I could respect it more if you did not take all of those government handouts, right? But I see how that impacted the communities, right? To have gainful $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year employment, working on the assembly line, working with your hands in a neighborhood where I could walk to work, walk home for lunch, walk back home from work. I understand the importance of that. So, and when those jobs are outsourced to other countries to be perfectly honest, you got people that you could pay anything because they're so-called, undocumented workers. You pay them under the table. Now, on one hand, that I believe that you should be able to charge whatever you want for your labor. Whatever. Like, if somebody, the minimum wage thing to me is like, all right, bro, you could do it for $6 an hour. I can do it for $5.50. Let me get that job.
Right.
That job, I live up the street from the place. I can be there early. I can be there on time. Transportation is not an issue. So that extra 50 cents, I can get that contract for my labor for cheaper.
Right.
I believe in that.
Yep. And minimum wage was a lot, in a lot of ways, was used to price black workers out of the market.
Out. Yep. Exactly. And so me understanding that, I see both sides of it. Now, in regards to, why am I saying this in regards to immigration conversation? I see the contradiction in all of these, a lot of my, I'm at CPACs, I'm at this, I'm at that. And a lot of those dudes are very contradictory. I know that you own a restaurant. I know that you're talking about and illegal immigration, blah, 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 blah. But your entire kitchen, your staff is all under the table, undocumented workers. Stop the bullshit.
Right.
Like, it's a clear contradiction. Now, those jobs, if you were doing it the way that you're saying you're doing it, those jobs, whether if it's a restaurant or if it's other job that there's a lot of under the table work, that money would be going to the community. So when she's saying ADOS, African descendants of slaves, I get what she means.
Yeah.
Now, in a broader picture, do I believe that we on Earth should be able to go wherever we want on Earth?
Right.
Yes.
Same here. Yeah.
But those rights got to be reciprocated.
Yeah.
I can't, if your country's saying, we don't want anybody from America coming through here hanging out unless they come in for a certain amount of time, they dropping off that tourist bag, and they getting out of here. If I can't hang out in Japan for however long and get the newest technology, then that can't, you can't have open borders in that welfare state. And that's the phrasing.
Yeah,
right?
that's Milton Friedman.
Right. Now, again, do I believe that government should say, Maj, any government should say, Maj, you got to come back to your country within the amount of time. They can afford it. and I can be wherever. I can be wherever the fuck I want to be as a
Right.
human. That's
Right.
ideologically, that's what I believe. Now, you
Yeah.
know, to Chad's point, practically, and the current matrix that we're in,
Right.
America not only does not have those rights reciprocated country to country, as well as our American government, we the people have allowed our American government, because of our apathy or ignorance or allowing us to be educated by the Rockefellers education system, we've allowed our government to fuck with a lot of people across the globe, and they're fucking mad about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of that, that creates a different heightened sense of security.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I think, you know, the guy from South, you know, the guy from Africa or the guy, because the immigrants aren't all just from like fucking Mexico. That's another misnomer, right? Or the guy from some European nation that's trying to escape some of that bullshit. They really want to come here for a different, a more positive life. I'm not worried about that person. That person usually, all of my, they are than fucking born and bred Americans.
Yeah.
Like, we lazy as shit a lot of times. You know what I mean?
Well, they always say a convert is usually the most radical anyway. Like, you know, like the people who are born into something are nowhere near as like hardcore as the people who convert to it.
You know, it's funny, you know, being Haitian and all that, we some prideful motherfuckers. And man, like hearing some of the things that my grandmother has done, I'm like, yeah, like a lot of your grandmothers, like, I'm not trying to brag or nothing, but a lot of grandmothers wouldn't do what my grandmother did.
Right.
It didn't work. Like a lot of the families, and it's the environment that they're in. So it's like back to a land of so much opportunity and stuff like that, you better work your ass off.
Right. And it's like, and it's almost like when I you know, and selling things where your life is on the line, and then now selling merch and selling this concept of Black Guns Matter, I'm like, yo, there's no threat to my life, or the threat to my life is much different now than it was doing that. Like, my shit was a constant threat, so we better go hard. You know what I'm saying? So that concept, in that regard, I just want to explain philosophically why I'm absolutely for humans having the right to move about. But when you're talking about practically, we cannot deny that our nation, again, does have heavy reliance on government and their monopoly on violence and taking from people and giving to others for control. And if people come in to just extract that without putting back, that's going to present a problem. That's just what it is. That's not me. That's not a feeling about it. That's like, yeah, bro, that'll happen.
It is what it is. Yeah.
Right now. Right now, because of that, I don't currently, the way that the border situation is structured, I am not okay with it. I believe that there should be a more streamlined, if we all doing this, you gotta be a citizen of this country to be here for an extended thing. If we doing it, ours is outdated. I want to hurry up and streamline some of those great, hardworking humans from different countries that are trying to get away from communist regimes. Like, that shit in China is not fucking cool. There's a reason why the people of Hong Kong but mainstream media stopped talking about it, are waving like American flags, going like, we want the Second Amendment. They're not doing that. There are buildings that manufacture stuff in China that they have to have like nets
to catch
outside
the
of the building
attempts,
because motherfuckers are jumping off the buildings and fucking killing themselves because they're being worked to death by the state. That's a real thing. So for me to act like I don't want that person to come here and work hard as shit. Asians do great financially in America. Right?
That's
for me,
better than white people.
Right. For me, I'm like, you think I don't want that person coming in here working hard as shit while escaping some fucking oppression and tyranny? I do. You know, but that process has to be streamlined, right? Because we have to be honest. We created some of these dilemmas. There's a reason. If you came fucking with my opium and my poppy fields, like, and you was doing shit with a monopoly of violence, I might want to go shoot some of your fucking people up. It's the block. It's the street.
Right,
It's the
gang.
same thing. You know, and
Or
so
even if
that
it's
part
not
of
about
it-
even if it's not about the opium. I mean, some of this shit is just like my kid was going to school and you blew his arms off, and now
Right.
you know, fuck, you know, shit's got to happen now. I'm going to retaliate. I mean, I go back to that Ron Paul ad way back when, and I think it was in 2012 in that when he was running for the Republican nomination, and it was like, could you imagine? You know, it was like imagine if it was like a Chinese occupying force here in America, and they just like stopped you at these different checkpoints and everything, and they were outside your house, and they were randomly just like blowing shit up left and right, and every now and then they would, you know, kill a few people or whatever. How would you respond? Would not some of these American patriots run, you know, fly across the ocean and go try to do something about it over there? Hell yeah, they would.
Man, we fucking turn over cars when our fucking football team.
When the Red Wings win the Stanley Cup.
So it's like, what the fuck do you think we would do? And that's the part of objectivity.
Common sense lacks.
Nuance. You know what I'm saying? Like that layers and those nuances
For sure.
Yeah.
are the things that we just got to be honest about, right?
Yeah.
We've allowed our government unchecked to do some fucked up shit. So we damn near got, until we can like to use some of my right friends' languaging, until we can drain that swamp and we can get it back to what it's actually supposed to be, where we're not trying to so-called police the whole world, like we're going to have security issues.
Mm-hmm.
You can't deny that. As long as we got economic hitmen fucking around in Haiti, you know, going to fuck around in Jamaica and fucking like destroy their cash crop of cannabis and fucking sugar cane in a Domino sugar factory and fuck with their milk with fucking powdered milk. Like we as a nation, our government and those private interests working with government did that.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
Right?
And that is the piece that people I think miss. You mentioned the quote by Milton Friedman earlier, where he said that you can't have a welfare state and open borders at the same time. That's a true statement. It's just a fact. But most people want to go after the borders. I want to go after that fucking welfare state, or what I would call it, the socialist communist state that we are slowly just saying, come on in.
We're not slowly shit. If we're going on damn water
slowly,
slide to that
look, them
motherfucker.
motherfuckers, they stepped on the goddamn gas.
They did.
No, for
That's
sure.
why even when like and all as much as they say, you know, we don't like socialism, we don't like, motherfuckers got real bipartisan or nonpartisan with this socialism shit with that first $3 trillion.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers got real. There was one dude who I'm proud to call a friend, fucking Massey.
Thomas Massey,
was like, fuck no, I'm not doing that. That's like not the thing. That was $3 trillion. That was the largest wealth transfer in American, possibly world history.
Yeah,
that was trillions of dollars of socialism.
Maj, have you looked at the shit they did in that thing? Oh my God, $300 million to the endowment of the arts. What the fuck does that have to do? Some dude running around in tights is getting $300 million for COVID.
Look, the crazy shit is now they're putting up a COVID stimulus bill. That's coming next.
$600, like, well, $600 a person. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks.
What was that? $3 trillion, and then that other $2 trillion. I thought that's what that shit was for. You know, and so we just got to be honest about the.
It's like one of those
overarching and overreach.
Right. Where the lawyers get everything and the plaintiffs get like they get $33 a piece.
Right.
For they all got cancer from a chemical plant or something like that.
Right.
Like,
these are the things that we just got to be honest about. So with when going back to the borders thing, we got to check the welfare state, which means we got to check the politicians, which means we have to re-inform and re-educate the people.
Right.
We have to do that because otherwise we're just creating more and more of the same. We're just asking for more of like, you know, oh, well, this time, this law, it'll be different, you know, as opposed to going, you know, I can't remember what founding father it was, but it was like way back in the day, and it was like Congress wanted to give $15,000 to like the French for something, like some damage or something. And one of the founding fathers said on the floor, like, I can't find anywhere in the Constitution that justifies this $15,000. So no, I'm against it. For $15,000 to like help another country. And it was Walter Williams that I remember saying this.
Oh, yeah.
He in essence was saying, like, can you imagine how any politician that said, no, we can't give up $15,000 to some other country. Yeah, I know they were hurt or whatever, but we can't do that because it's in the Constitution. People would try to string that person up.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're not supposed to, that if it's not in there, we're not doing it, you know?
Right.
And we're at this space now where we've allowed culture and these media pundits to say things like, oh, you don't care. No,
that's where I was going to go. Like, the media is like your shirt says, the most effective devil in America. You know,
right.
It's that thing that tugs at people's heartstrings and riles people up for the wrong reasons to want to overturn, to want to flip the tables, but they don't want to flip the tables when they're putting small businesses out of business, and Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart and Costco and Target and Amazon and all these motherfuckers are getting rich as a motherfucker. Zoom,
gone out the
shout out
window.
to Zoom. We're doing the fucking stream on Zoom, but I'm working on not using Zoom anymore. We're not far away from that. We won't be using Zoom anymore after the first of the year. But
wait, what's the deal with Zoom?
Well, I'm just saying Zoom stock is like through the roof
Hold
since
on,
this
wait.
whole thing started.
I heard that they've like are associated with like people being in group chats and like people being raped in them type shit. So those
well, there might be some of that shit too. I don't know, but I just know that
there's some stuff
they have benefited tremendously financially from this. And so, but I want to get into as we transition from the media thing and now the all the benefits that these large corporations have gotten from this thing. You have a new shirt out. Fuck that vaccine. Let's talk about that. I know Marcus wanted to touch on that big time, on like where you stand with this whole thing. Like most of this stuff usually takes 10 to 12 years for the FDA to approve it. We don't even take 12 months anymore. We just run into this shit, and everybody's standing in line to let the National Guard jam needles in their arms. So
listen, bro,
where you at on
black
this?
ass.
Right. If you want to take that vaccine, I respect your freedom to do so.
Stay the fuck
if
away
you
from
want
me,
to, you know what I mean? If you want to take it, if you want to, like, a vaccine is like sex. Like a needle's like sex. If a woman doesn't want you to put something in her, and you do it anyway, it's rape. It's not consensual. If a man, who in America, men are raped more than women, like jail's a thing, right? If I don't want a thing in me as a guy, you know, I'm going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that it's not in me. Otherwise, you know, when I say no, it's not consensual. You know, I get it. You think I'm handsome. That's great. However, I don't want you to put your stuff in me, right?
Yeah, right.
Or in my concept
or in my kids.
Vaccine.
I don't want you putting my kids either.
Right. Same thing. If she wants to sleep with you, she'll go, you know what? Yeah, let's do this, man. I'm ready here. I'm here for it. Matter of fact, I don't care, what your sexual history is. It's go time right now. The drinks have been flowing. I'm trusting that you're okay. And then you guys have a great time. Whether you lied to her, whether you're not, I guess y'all will be rolling the fucking dice together. If I'm a person that says, if you're a person in the middle of that says, I'm concerned, and I'm curious to maybe sleep with you, but I'm not all the way there yet. I need to see a clean bill of health, and I want to
Get to know you a little better.
Get to know you a little better, and I want to use a condom.
Oh
until
yeah.
we're
Oh right.
absolutely certain.
Yeah.
So then there's that middle ground.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the person that's like, no, I'm saving myself. I know that you're not healthy because I look at what you eat. I look at what you watch. I've never seen you stretch. I've never seen you go to the gym. I've never seen you drink a fucking bottle of water ever.
And you also made Windows ME, goddammit. And so fuck
Their
you.
toes, they're dirty.
Right. So
we all remember
these
Windows
are
ME.
things.
Fuck that motherfucker.
Right. So now it becomes, okay, now let's evaluate this. I'm looking at your track record. No, thank you. If at that point, the person that says that has no standard and is okay with sleeping with you, you're good. There's plenty of people that you can get. You just got to find them,
Right.
and they'll let you put your thing in them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's consensual. There's no extra fighting involved. There's no, you got to like stalk their job and make them sleep with. You don't have to do that. Right? If you're the middle person.
This is the best breakdown I've ever heard of.
Saying that you're
awesome.
If it's the middle person, it's you shouldn't have a problem showing. You said you're clean, you're healthy.
Right.
You should have no problem showing them
Proving
your
it.
clean bill of health.
Right.
And proving that you're safe for that person that's skeptical but potentially will do it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to force them. You just show them, these are my ingredients. This is what's in me. Cool. The person that's like, I know you. I know that you're not healthy. I know all of the people that you fucked over. And I know that you lie and like you're safe. But I know, no thank you. If you try with that person to then force them, that is rape. Everyone should look at the vaccine that way.
Agreed.
There's plenty of people.
That's perfect.
Right. There's plenty of people that are like, vaccine. Go fuck that person. They want to be fucked. Go fuck them.
But like,
stick your fucking
still don't make sense because
them.
when you break it down, it's like you still got to wear the mask. Wait, I got the vaccine. Fucking COVID-19 in the first place. Did you guys ever consider that, like, if you keep something at a certain temperature, it's keeping something alive? Nah.
Right.
Like, you don't take, like, the little nuanced things they give to you with a smile when they say it. So it's going to be much better for you to perceive what I'm trying to say. No, like, you're still trying to fucking kill us.
Right. Nobody's asked the question, like, when did they say that this virus is, this vaccine, will it stop the transmission? Like, even though numbers are fucked up, they just fucked it up all of the way. I don't trust, the numbers have been proven to be skewed. There's been over 9 million, based on the thing that people have said, this is COVID. And we all, most of us will go like, I know people in the medical profession that were like, look, the governors told us we had to shut hospitals down, which means we had to shut down elective surgeries. That's our bread and butter. Because our bread and butter was shut down, we said a lot of shit was COVID.
That's where the high margin is.
Right.
Where the people want to do it, and you can charge them for what they want to have done to them.
The free market provides. Charge them a whole lot of money for that shit. Simple. When we're asking questions like, does this vaccine stop the spread of it? Even with the bullshit numbers and the stats.
It reduces the symptoms.
Right.
Allegedly.
That's all it does. And allegedly. And these are the things that that are secondary questions, but the primary thing is my body is my property. My body.
My body, my choice.
I don't want it. Period. No, thank you. Give it to someone else. If you try to I fall in that third category of a person that says, I know you are Bill Gates. I know you look like you're just this non-threatening dude. Whatever. I know that you it's not even like rocket science. You've literally stood on stages for decades now and said, you want to limit the population of the world. And you use vaccines and the like to do it. So no, thank you. If you or your minions or your government or your WHO or your CDC or anybody, or local police department, anybody tries to make me do that, they're assisting in the rape. And since it's my body, my choice, I am going to shoot the shit out of you.
Right.
And
For
that's
sure.
it. We go back to the inevitable conversation about violence. I
And
am
rape,
okay with
and rape
violence
too. If you
when
come to
you're
rape
trying
me,
to
I'm gonna
rape
shoot
me.
you too. Yeah.
That's it.
The bottom line is with this stupid virus is that I don't fucking know, because I can't trust my goddamn media. I can't trust anything these people say. You know, I was involved long enough in trying to get Adam fucking on media to know that these pieces of shit are completely bought, paid for, all that.
Take
So-
dinner and everything.
Right, right. So at the end of the fucking day, my opinion about these vaccines is exactly my opinion when people ask me about 9/11. They say,
Right.
what do you think happened at 9/11? My answer is, I don't really fucking know, but that bullshit story they're feeding.
How does it like really take for somebody like I know like brainwashing like who went over, but are they really smart? Like
Regurgitating.
I'm not your intelligence, but your critical thinking on your own behalf instead of somebody telling you
Right.
is necessarily right is stripped away from you. So therefore you consistently are okay with being told what to do. Now granted, you will stand your ground on certain manners of your life and principles and how you live, but at the end of the day, somebody's over your shoulder just telling you how to move left, right, up, down, and forward.
I get it, and it's convenient. Like I fall into that sometimes. Like right,
Yeah,
like
dude.
the robot of where I'm picking to be a robot. Right. Like for me, for example, I am good at creating ideas and executing. I'm not my strongest skill set is not the minutia. Right. I have these ideas. Now, if somebody says do this and then do that and then do that, they make it simpler for me to execute the minute details, right? However, when it becomes valuable things like greater concepts, I'm going to question. So we all on certain levels pick our strong suits in this, but when it comes to things that are in alignment with, again, your highest property, your body,
Right.
your body, you should be asking different questions. When you're talking about these ideals of liberty, that's why that question and me explaining, you know, how and why I view open borders or things like that a certain nuanced way, I have to express my moral positioning and then my legal, you know, because we can't have moral conversations in the legal room and having legal conversations in the moral room could be two different conversations that can lead to chaos. I want to be clear on what my moral position is, as well as the practical and legal position and for what reasons. Because these ideals of the movement of the human, what your government is telling you to put in your body, what your government is telling you you can smoke or not. I'm never going to shoot heroin. I have no interest in it. But if you think it's great or opium, you should be able to do that without, reprimanding or a restriction on your freedom by government. The same government that okays selling liquor.
Yeah. Right.
Liquor and cigarettes, like as a cigar smoker, hundreds of thousands of people die from that shit every year, like on paper, without fail.
Yeah.
So they're not the best judgment of your moral positioning on things.
They don't. That's stupid.
Right. You inform
they don't
yourself.
reduce it. They don't reduce it at all. They
Right.
responsibly, but they don't say, hey, you should never smoke. Like, this is your body, your temple. This is something that you need to pay attention to.
No, they actually
And
They'll
like,
go.
they help fund the companies.
Right.
That do that shit.
Right.
And
They'll say,
I'm not gonna inject heroin into me, but I'm also not gonna inject Pfizer into me.
right. Right. And if you want to,
I ain't gonna stop you.
go ahead.
Do your thing.
Do your thing. Tell me about your experience. What was your highlight? If you grow an extra arm, I'll go, yeah, I was right. That's why I didn't fucking take it. You know,
Depending on
we
where that
just
arm is, you know. I mean, look, let's be real.
Be okay with. Right.
Got a little baby arm down
Right.
there. We're good.
It becomes in essence the conversation about, I want to make the decision for me and my family, and when my family becomes a certain age, they can make the decision for themselves. When you're talking about that concept of liberty with people and breaking it down that practically, I think then people start to get it and see like, oh shit. Like when you say, no, I think that humans should be able to go wherever they want, respectfully, while respecting the rights of others, right? When you say, yo, man, that right still has to be reciprocated, then we get into those nuanced areas of, okay, what are the steps and the procedures and the solutions towards making those rights reciprocated, right?
Yeah.
How do we do that without maybe in a charter or a contract between nations, but that's not necessarily government, so much government relied upon? Or can we start flooding our local, state, and federal quote-unquote government, if you believe to it? Can we limit it? And then the little bit that's there, can we start putting very principled women and men in there that understand these ideals to a even better perspective than the founding fathers did? Like, then we're starting to get into that direction. But when you break those things down very practically, then the people start to see it. You know, and to your point, it's the reason why people have resonated with us and the work that we do at Black Guns Matter is because my skill set is the ability, you know, to make things very simple, to speak in parables, to draw comparisons, show people in a very simple way, like the rape example with Pfizer and, you know, a rapist. You know, there's plenty of people that want to have sex, that want to get fucked.
Right.
You can go fuck them. It will not be difficult. They want it.
They've been posting their pictures on social media all day today with their little card saying, I got it.
Go get them.
I got
and
laid.
Charge them. And you'll make tons, boatloads of money for your shareholders.
Yeah.
So you still will get your profit margins.
Right.
You know, that profit margin is going to be cut into severely when you go out of the room of people that want to be fucked to go into the room to try to fuck people that don't necessarily want to be fucked. You're going to catch a case. You're potentially going to get your dick chopped off. You're going to get shot. You know, my skill set is the ability to translate information that way. And translating that to the direction of liberty, I know that I'm a point guard, and point guards can help people see the rest of the floor the way that they see it. And that's my skill set, you know? And so the other people that have the different skill sets, we can build our army that way. And that's how we inform the next generation, the generation after that, the third generation after that, to rebuild it. The experiment is crumbling. The American experiment is crumbling. And we're watching it because we're not informing the public and shifting the culture back in that direction.
People have gotten too complacent.
I always call America the new Rome when we're watching it crumble. Like, going to sports being basically the Coliseums to how pedophilia is just gung-ho over here. Like, you're a little Rome.
Yeah, damn shit.
And it's like, it's very sick how, like, people don't really take history. And what they do is they just take the history that they learned from school and like, oh, yeah, thanks. And it's like, no.
Columbus
Came from trial and tribulation that their grandparents came from. So they have stories that you need to learn about how life is ran in certain areas, certain formats. And people just are nonchalant and forget it. They're okay forgetting culture. They're okay with being unified and signified as just one set of people where we have to have iPhones or, you know, if you know, you got to wear Jordans and Nikes. And it's like, do y'all know where that comes from? You know, those are ran in sweatshops, so we joke about it all the time, but it's like, watch it come to America, and then y'all bitch and moan about it. But y'all were like, please, 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 because y'all don't want to have conversations. Y'all don't want to have dialogue. Y'all want to be everybody wants to have their emotion be right. Nah, God made right, wrong, good and bad in a sense, but it's all about viewpoints if we want to go to that. But at the end of the day, like, there's a thing in your head that says, maybe we could go into this. And
Right.
people don't.
I think they don't look a lot of times because that shit is hard. Like, that shit is like, think about this. And especially as a black dude, right? In America, like, we have a history, Americans in general, but especially more specifically, the black experience. We've been pretty much told, think about this, where you can go, where you cannot go. Now, in a bigger picture, where you can drive, where you can go, where you can't go to the North Pole, you can't go to Antarctica, you can't go here, the speed with which you can go there, right? How much money you can make, or how much money you make before we determine how much we're going to take from you. You know, if you want to avoid us taking money from you, you can't just do it really as like a human. You got to do it as like a company, like an LLC, you know, or an incorporation. In essence, all of the areas of human activity are cornered by government, and that is not freedom. You can't get married technically, lawfully under their law without a license. Like, when we step back and look at it, you can't go fishing.
Right.
Like, without, like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, the cops will roll up and be like, let me see your fishing license.
We do that in my backyard all the time without one. So,
but you get what I'm saying?
Ratting yourself out, my man.
But you get what I mean?
yeah.
It becomes a real thing. Like, your life.
But black people are the first people who are going to get the vaccine. So come on now.
Right. And it's like, because the African American woman made it, fucking Fauci and those guys, right?
God damn,
and
fuck that motherfucker, man.
These are the things that we have to practically look at. You cannot go fishing without fear of someone with a gun coming to potentially kill you for not showing them your fishing license. Like, that is not freedom.
Or for reaching for your fishing license and they think you're reaching for something else.
Right.
God forbid.
So these are the things that we really have to think about when we're talking about freedom. And so, you know, to Nicco's point, it's hard to fucking look at that reality.
You're right.
You a bit of a slave, like, type thing. And it's like, oh shit, fuck it. Let me just Netflix and chill.
Right.
Fuck it. Let me just go along to get along. Not let me fight against this and highlight it and go, yo, like us, it was, yo, this mask airplane shit is dumb. Fuck that. It's not real. I'm going to just work on, let's get an RV. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
and
so that was part of the driving force for that? And I didn't even know that, because I flew American earlier this year, and there was a dude, like, because American never had like a seat restriction. It was just like dudes on top of, like, this dude was like sweating on me the whole flight and everything. And they kept coming by and they're like, raise your mask. And I'm like, God damn, man. Like, this dude's like arm is on top of my arm and you're worried about my fucking mask? Are you joking?
And it's not a real thing. And so it becomes, we put the mask on to be convenient. It's harder to say, fuck that. I'm going to get an RV and fuck your plane, and I'm not giving you no money.
Right. Word.
That shit is hard, especially somebody like me that, you know, for the last few years, every 2 weeks, I'm on 2 different planes.
Yeah, and it cuts into your time to be, because I drive all the time. It cuts into your time to be able to be productive, because if you're driving, you're not doing other shit.
Right.
You know?
And so now you got to go
on the plane. You can't do that when you're driving.
Right. You know, and so now it becomes,
sometimes you do, but
now we back to the self-reliance thing. Now we back to, okay, if we get the RV, we also don't have to spend money in hotels. So damn, if we do this right and we plan it accordingly, we can fuck around and save $50,000. It's going to be harder in the beginning,
but you get that, long term.
You know, so these are the things that it's much more difficult It would be way easier if everybody was on freedom. If airline CEOs, all the way down to the people that put the little masks in the plane and clean up, were all like freedom, 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 then there wouldn't be a conversation. It would be, hey, if you're feeling feverish and if you think you got some issues, please quarantine and be smart and just don't, toss your mask on, right?
Yeah.
But everybody else, if you good, then keep it moving. Liberty
takes the morality
has
out
to
of
be
it.
the language
Yeah,
again.
it takes the morality and the ethics out of it, and it makes it into force and rebellion.
Right.
Well, to put it, half of this conversation for about 10 minutes reminded me of this quote by Frederick Douglass. And I know I've used it before, but it is, to make a contented slave, you must make a thoughtless one. It is necessary to darken his moral and mental vision and as far as possible to annihilate his power of reason. And that's what they're trying to do with all of this, is they're trying to annihilate our power of reason.
Right.
And make contented, uneducated slaves out of all of us.
By appealing to your emotions. Yeah, by appealing to your emotions that you're going to kill grandma at Christmas if you don't do all these rules that they fucking have.
Right.
Yo, listen, and this is the fucked up part about me. When people say that type of shit to me, I know that I don't want to kill grandma. Duh.
Right.
But I'll say some shit like, your grandmother's been here for 80 years. She's had her fair share. I'll say some fucked up shit because if you're saying some dumb shit to me like that, okay, I'm gonna meet your dumb shit with equally dumb shit.
And that's the shame. That's the shame in this whole thing, is that it's taken it to that point where, like, to make the point, you almost have to like have the same kind of dispassionate, like look, motherfucker, if you're gonna try to pretend like the people who have committed suicide on Zoom. People have committed suicide on a Zoom call with their classmates.
Right.
During this shit.
Right.
Kids, 11, 15, 16 years old, committing suicide because they can't see their friends. They can't go do things that they were doing before. Their senior year has been destroyed. The thing they've been looking forward to for the, for this whole time that they've been in high school and everything else. All these other things, all these other reasons. People are losing their livelihoods. They've lost a business that their families had for 70 years.
Now this is the part where
completely ignore that shit. And you're gonna try to guilt me about this other stuff. And I'm like, look, man, we have to be able to see the other side, that like Henry Hazlitt talks about, the unseen man, that you have to be able to look at the people who you are ignoring, who are affected by this shit.
Right. I think the other part is, now this is where I'm going to be critical on us.
Mm-hmm.
This part might sound
after you just said your grandma's had her fair share.
Right. That's like, I say that to people and they're like, how dare you? It's usually like the Karen types. I'm like,
I know, but I'm just saying, you're like, here's where I'm going to be critical of us.
Right.
You just said that.
Here's the thing. What you allow will continue.
Yeah.
So now, everybody that has a business, open your fucking business back up, bro.
Yeah.
Open it
absolutely.
up.
Absolutely.
We did it. We were compliant.
Mm-hmm.
We thought that it would be unprecedented. It's not what they initially. We found out that they were lying to us. Time to open up, baby.
And they're continuing to lie to us because it was supposed to be 2 weeks. Then it was this, then it was that, and now they're doing this shit. You saw the woman in California where she had like her business got shut down, her restaurant, and they had like a movie.
Hollywood did
Hollywood people got their shit in her parking lot. Like fuck that shit, man. This shit.
Now if she would have went out there and spazzed out like fucking Michael Douglas and falling down, and just started pumping rounds and everybody as they sat at their fucking buffet table. Now everybody would have been like, how could she do this? Because you motherfuckers are so contradictory. Gavin Newsom's motherfucking ass.
Right.
But again, this is where we got to look at the people. You're allowing it.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, like, what do you think our founders would think of America today?
People would have been fucking got shot by now. It wouldn't have even been like that. We're under tyrannical shit. But no, everybody's, and that's why I say it very loudly and very proudly. people got to get comfortable with violence again.
Yeah. I told my wife, if I'm that restaurant owner, this is the progression that it would have gone. And I mean, I'm at the point where I'm willing to like accept the consequences for this, whatever they may be, you know, but it starts with, I just open my fucking restaurant up and I say, fuck you, y'all come. We're like the guys in, was it Canada where they had that, where they opened up their barbecue restaurant or whatever, and they kicked the door open and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then they like dragged them out and arrested them or whatever. Like
my guy Ian just did that over in Jersey for the last couple of months at the gym. You know, and I went over to go see him. I was like, oh, I'm coming over there.
People need to fucking Molon Labe that shit too, you know? And so that would have been the first step. And then when they come and say, like, hey, you need to shut this shit down or whatever, and then when they put the padlock, or they try to put the padlock or whatever on my door, I get in my car and I drive into those fucking tents. There's no people in there. I'm not hurting anybody, but I'm going to fuck that shit up. I'm going to ruin their fucking tents and their tables because fuck you.
Unfortunately, though I get you guys' sentiment, and I
know
agree,
you say it's gonna like turn in the opposite direction of where we want it to go.
The problem is this will never work with a propagandist around us.
Right.
When they can control every bit of
devil
this
in
narrative,
America. Yeah, right. Exactly.
When they can control every single bit of the propaganda, they're going to make you, for driving your car, be this evil person.
Now you sound like my wife.
Person
the voice of reason in my house.
The person shooting back as to this evil person. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I'm not saying that in defense, it is not called for. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying we've got our number one thing. I agree with the Second Amendment, and I agree with that guns protect everything. But the number one thing that they have got to protect is the freedom of speech. We have got to be able to speak. And until we are able to speak again, we talked last week with Brown Paper Bag podcast. They were just deplatformed off of YouTube, and they say a hell of a lot less heinous shit than we do. We are on the chopping block. We know that at any moment they can cut us right the fuck off. Right. They could cut us right the fuck off. So we have got to protect freedom of speech.
Yeah, but to Maj's point though, like at a certain point, you have to give the other people that. I go back, and so this is crazy. I'm going to go back to a Marianne Williamson quote where she talks about like being the light of like freedom, and it gives other people a reason to like stand up too. Because first person in Dead Poet Society who stands on his desk is the guy who the media wants to shit talk. Okay. Right. But if he doesn't do it, the rest of them don't do it.
For sure.
Right. And you've got, like, at some point we have to say, fuck that shit. I know it's going to look bad. I know they're going to propagandize it, but fuck it. I don't care. Like, that's why I said I'm willing to accept the consequences. I'm driving the fucking car into that shit. And I'm gonna make it to where, and I'm gonna tell people, I'm gonna go live on fucking whatever I can, and I'm gonna say, listen, I don't want to do this, but they have made this necessary. Because they are ruining my life. Right. If I break a couple of tents for fucking Hollywood, it's not gonna fucking be a drop in the bucket to them. But I need to make a statement, and you people need to see this shit, and it's fucking going down.
That's the equivalent of doing the thing and expressing writing the manifesto beforehand, doing the thing, and then repeating your talking points as every single time that there's a camera in your face.
Right.
I did this because this is tyranny. Like you just said, Hollywood will not miss those tents. I'm gonna take the charge. Cool, I'll catch a charge.
Yeah.
I'll get breaking some public property, blah blah blah. But this has to stop. There needs to be people, and media also is greedy. So they'll go, why did this guy do this? And they'll shove 1 million microphones in your face. And you just have to have your talking points in order.
Right.
Maj, well, if I get into a shootout, Black Guns Matter founder gets into shootout. Maj, why'd you get into a shootout? Well, I ran into Governor Tom Wolf. He was on some bitch ass shit. I told him he was on some bitch ass shit. His security got into it with me. I told him not to touch me. They tried to touch me. They violated my highest property, my body. so I defended my life. They put my life in imminent danger. What are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so
For sure.
you just like, what are you gonna do? Like some people might go to jail. If I go to jail, I'll work out, I'll watch TV, I'll take a nap, I'll hang out with my homies, I'll play some fucking chess. Like
come out, Maj X.
Dr. King was to jail. Right. Like, yo, seriously, like all of our heroes were all at some point criminals to the state.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So it's like, and they're absolutely gonna turn them propaganda machines on. The thing that we do have now that a lot of those folks back then didn't get, that's the thing about Trump that's great. He goes straight to Twitter. Bop, 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 bop. Twitter. Twitter hasn't blocked him. Twitter hates him.
You think that changes once he's not president, though? You think they're going to take his account?
No, because he generates too much energy.
See, that's what I think too. I think there's too much money to be made off his Twitter account for people to want him to get banned.
So even the media that's leftist, they're still greedy.
Right. They're going to ride his nutsack. Exactly.
Right.
Hang on
he's too known now.
Right.
That if you guys do that, even though we all know in this room, it's the suppression of, more freedom-based talk. It's completely proven that, we're just silencing voices. It's bad for their shareholders for them to do that. So they're in the jail with us.
Right.
Y'all didn't lock me in. You locked in this motherfucker with me. You see what I'm saying? And that's the way that we got to shift the viewing and the perspective, But anyway, y'all, I'm about to be
You got to bounce. Yeah.
I got a short coming over real quick.
All right.
I want to thank you, Maj. I want to
give him a chance to promote his stuff too, because I want to get his.
Okay.
Yeah.
For sure. I want to thank you for coming on. It's been an interesting conversation. And I think that, again, we're allies for sure in the fight for freedom. And where I would say is, you were talking about earlier that everybody has their place. I still think that for me, I agree with much of what you've talked about, but for me, I need to be the smiling face of voluntarism. I need to be the smiling face of love, joy, compassion, and peace. That we need people to see. I get what you're saying, and I understand that perspective, and I frankly agree with it 90% of the time.
Yeah.
But for me, I need to smile, be happy, and teach love. And
Absolutely.
That's what I'm gonna do.
I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do all that, and I'm going to be strapped and ready to rumble if somebody fucks with my shit.
This young lady that's about to come in here, I'm about to share so much love with her. You know what I'm saying?
Right on. So plug your stuff, Maj.
Yeah, where can we go to? Where can we find out about more?
At Black Guns Matter, everybody, we completely crowdfunded. You can GoFundMe.com/Black Guns Matter. You can follow me on social media. Here's how we could use a lot of everybody's help. I'm completely shadow banned on Instagram more than any other platform. If you do follow on social media on Instagram, it's at Maj Toure, MAJTOURE. All I ask is for everybody to retweet stuff, share stuff to the stories, follow the backup page as well, Mr. Maj Toure, MRMAJTOURE. And this is the Instagram pages, official Black Guns Matter on Instagram. All of the stuff that you see, turn the notifications on. You do that by pushing a post. And there's 3 little dots on the top right corner. Hit that, and then turn on post notifications. When you get the notifications, repost the content, add it to your stories. If it's on Twitter, at Maj Toure, same thing. Retweet, share stuff. If you want to donate financially, become a Patreon subscriber, patreon.com/Black Guns Matter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Black Guns Matter. And just like you said, live love, be empathetic, be understanding. These are still, even if they on the left or right, whatever, status, nonsense, whatever, we're still brothers and sisters in this life and human thing. And let's just, treat each other with kindness as much as possible.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you're one of the first folks that I ever connected with on the social media landscape. That you were like one of my heroes, and to have you to be able to get you to come to Baton Rouge, and then to be able to get you to do this, it's a real honor for me. And so, anyway, I wish you the best tonight, and I wish you the best in everything going forward. I know you got a big event coming up in Atlanta, and hope you guys do well and knock it out of the park there. And thank you again so much. And
For sure.
anyway,
Nicco, you have anything you want to say?
Oh no, I just want to appreciate the fact that you came on, and it's another brother. I'm sorry, boys. Like, man, like, I just,
These white faces,
Nicco
man.
actually wore the gear. Like I failed to wear my gear.
I'm wearing my gear. Got me some Rothbard going
I know,
on.
right? There you go. There you go.
Yeah,
So,
no, I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be able to have you on here again soon.
yeah, man. Appreciate
No
it.
doubt. I told you over a bit.
So we'll let you bounce,
well,
and
man.
I'm gonna send everybody off after you're out of here. I'll let you get to your thing.
One last thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Please hit that like, subscribe, and that bell. We trying to get next to
Yeah,
No doubt.
and subscribe
No
to
doubt.
the Patreon, all that good stuff. Yes, absolutely. And 2 shares,
Right on.
share with your friends, 2 shares to speed the spread.